Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something specific. That final hurdle in English fluency,
Hmm.
going from, advanced C1 to sounding, well, truly near native. It's like the final boss battle for English learners, right?
It really is.
Yeah, yeah.
That point where, okay, your grammar's solid, vocabulary's wide, but there's still something.
Yeah, something subtle that gives you away.
Exactly. It's often in those little details, the nuances.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive is to basically give you the tools to bridge that gap. We're going to look at those tiny mistakes you might not even notice.
Things like getting the feel of idiomatic English, not
Yeah.
just the dictionary meaning.
Precisely. And understanding things like humor, sarcasm,
Mm.
subtext, all that stuff that makes your English sound less foreign.
Because getting to near native isn't just about rules and words, it's the unspoken stuff, too.
Totally. And just to show how subtle this can be, I have a slightly embarrassing story. Years back, feeling pretty good about my English, I met this Cambridge professor.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. And in my eagerness, my brain just misfired. I beamed and said, I'm excited to meet you.
The classic ing versus ed adjective mix-up.
Exactly. His face. Unforgettable. But it really shows that kind of tiny error we want to help you stamp out.
It does. Because it confuses who is experiencing the excitement. It's those small slips in native speaker clocks instantly, even if they can't explain why it sounds off. Word choice has these subtle layers.
Okay, let's really get into the nuts and bolts then. Native speakers often get a feel for C1 level pretty fast.
Yeah, often within seconds.
And it's usually not huge grammar bombs. It's more about these consistent little patterns. We picked out 5 key C1 tells that can kind of out you.
These are habits that aren't strictly wrong grammatically, but they just don't quite match how native speakers typically talk. Recognizing them is step one.
Okay, first tell. Relying too much on very plus an adjective. Like very tasty or very interesting.
Right. Instead of very delicious, a native speaker might just say divine or amazing.
It sounds stronger, more natural somehow.
Exactly. Using very all the time can suggest maybe a slightly smaller vocabulary for nuances. Like very happy could be thrilled or ecstatic.
Very sad could be devastated or miserable.
Precisely. Those stronger words pack more punch, so very feels a bit redundant, maybe less sophisticated.
Okay. Tell number 2. Messing up idioms just slightly. You might know loads of idioms, which is great.
Oh yeah, that's a big achievement at C1.
But using them in the wrong spot or getting a similar one slightly wrong, it can sound, well, a bit off. Like saying, it's not my beer instead of it's not my cup of tea.
The meaning basically gets across, but the phrasing isn't quite right. It just jars slightly.
Yeah.
Idioms are so tied to culture. Translating directly often doesn't work because the cultural weight isn't there. It's knowing when and how natives use them.
Right. Okay, C1 till number 3. Sounding too formal in casual situations. Clear English is key, obviously.
Of course.
But always using super formal language when you're just chatting with friends or colleagues, it can feel a bit stiff.
Yeah, a bit distant, like saying, I require assistance.
Instead of just, I'm stuck, or can you give me a hand or something?
It comes down to register knowing how formal or informal to be. Natives adjust this automatically based on who they're talking to, the situation.
Yeah, getting that flexibility is a big marker of near-native fluency.
Definitely.
So thinking about those first 3 overuse of very, maybe slight idiom wobbles and being a bit too formal, sometimes it's worth asking yourself, which one sounds familiar?
Yeah, where might you be getting caught?
We actually did a quick poll on at English Unlocked, hashtag C1Tells. It was really interesting. Lots of people struggle with these.
Self-awareness is so important here. Spotting these in your own speech is the first step to tweaking them.
Okay, let's move on. We're calling this next bit the idiom gym.
Ah, I like that.
Think of it like leveling up your idioms, moving from just knowing them to using them naturally with that native speaker kind of flair.
Yeah, it's about having options. Knowing there are different ways to say the same thing and choosing the more idiomatic one adds, well, color and naturalness.
Okay, take something simple like, it's easy.
Right.
Advanced level C1, you might say, it's a piece of cake, which is great.
Totally fine idiom.
But to get even closer to that native sound, you might go for, say, it's child's play.
Right. Child's play often implies it's ridiculously easy. Maybe even slightly dismissive in a playful way sometimes.
Another one, being tired. Basic is, I'm tired.
Which is perfectly clear.
But in the UK, you'd very often hear, I'm knackered.
Yeah, means really wiped out.
And in the US?
Probably I'm wiped or I'm beat. Same idea, complete exhaustion.
Yeah.
But they're not just synonyms. They have that regional cultural flavor. Natives recognize them instantly.
Okay, but here's a really crucial warning with idioms.
Ah, yes, the context.
Cultural context is everything. Take the word bloody.
Mm.
In the UK, pretty common intensifier, right? That's bloody brilliant.
Yeah, fairly standard, depending on the setting.
But use bloody like that in the US.
Ooh, yeah. It can sound quite strong. Maybe even aggressive, or like you're trying too hard to sound British, almost like a movie character.
Right, like something from a Tarantino film, as you said.
So yeah, build your idiom library, definitely. But you also need to develop an ear for where and when they fit. Regional differences, formality.
Get it wrong, and it can be more noticeable than just not using an idiom at all.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's shift gears. Maybe the trickiest bit. Subtext and sarcasm boot camp.
The really subtle stuff.
This is where you go beyond the words on the page or the literal meaning. It's all about implied meaning, tone.
Mm.
That's real near-native territory.
Being able to read the tone, understand what's meant versus what's said, it's vital for just everyday conversation, avoiding mix-ups.
Okay, picture this. Someone spills coffee on important papers.
Oh, no.
If you say, "Oh, brilliant," with a genuinely sympathetic tone.
It means, oh, that's terrible, I'm sorry.
Right. But say the exact same words. "Oh, brilliant." Flat, deadpan, maybe roll your eyes slightly.
Total sarcasm means the exact opposite. That's just great S.
Same words, meaning flipped entirely by the tone.
Another good one. I see what you mean. Said normally, it's agreement, understanding.
Yeah, okay, I get your point.
But emphasize it. I see what you mean, and suddenly.
Uh-oh. Sounds like you strongly disagree. Or think their logic is flawed.
Exactly. That emphasis changes everything.
Okay, so here's a little exercise for you listening. Try recording yourself. Say the phrase, "nice one."
Simple phrase.
Say it 3 ways. First, genuinely happy, like someone did something great. Second, really angry. And third, dripping with sarcasm. Then listen back. Can you actually hear the difference? The little shifts in pitch, tone, speed that signal totally different feelings?
It forces you to play with the music of the language, not just the words. Native speakers do this instinctively. It helps you get that intuitive feel.
Okay, next up. Actively training your native ear. This isn't just about listening passively.
No, it's about really tuning in to how English sounds naturally, the rhythms, the informal bits.
We've got a few practical things you can do.
Active listening is key to pushing past that C1 plateau.
First suggestion. Watch stand-up comedy. In English, obviously.
Good one.
And don't just listen for the jokes. Notice how they talk, how they play with grammar, use informal words, the timing, the pauses before a punchline.
Yeah, they often bend the rules for effect. It helps you hear the natural, sometimes messy flow of real spoken English.
Plus, comedy's packed with cultural references, double meanings, great for picking up those hidden layers.
Definitely. Okay, second idea.
Try transcribing short bits of casual chat, like clips from podcasts, YouTube vlogs, whatever.
But focus on the details.
Exactly. Listen for the contractions. Wanna, gonna, da-na-na. All those informal words you don't see written down much, that's how people actually talk.
Understanding those little shortcuts makes a huge difference in following fast, natural speech. They're everywhere.
And third thing, try shadowing.
The mimicking technique.
Yeah. You listen to some audio, maybe a bit of this deep dive even, and you try to speak along at the same time, not just the words.
With the rhythm, the pauses, the intonation, the whole melody.
Right, like being their vocal shadow, it really helps internalize the natural sound and feel of the language.
It's powerful because it connects listening directly to speaking. It gets the patterns into your muscle memory, almost.
And speaking of audio, I actually put together a list of some really good YouTube channels for hearing natural English. Great for this kind of practice.
Oh, useful.
Yeah, if you want that list, just drop a comment with #eartraining and we'll send it over.
The goal here is to get beyond just words and start to feel the rhythm, the music of spoken English.
Right. Okay, final section, the C2 confidence hack.
Because it's not just about the language itself, is it?
No, a big part of sounding near native is your mindset, how you deliver it, those little performance things.
Even if your English isn't 100% perfect whose is, honestly, sounding confident makes a massive difference in how you're perceived.
Okay, first hack. Please stop over-apologizing for your accent.
Yes. Unless it's genuinely causing misunderstandings.
Right. Your accent is part of who you are, and honestly, native speakers often find different accents interesting, even charming. Don't try to force some perfect accent that feels unnatural. Focus on being clear.
There's a big difference between clear pronunciation and trying to sound like someone you're not. Clarity first, always.
Also, and this is important, remember, native speakers use filler words. We say, we pause.
All the time. Think of Obama. Loads of ums. It's natural and spontaneous speech.
Exactly. So don't feel you have to speak like a robot with zero hesitation. It actually sounds less natural.
Those little pauses, the occasional, well, they make you sound more human, less like you're reading a script.
Okay, slightly more controversial tip, maybe.
Go on.
Using mild swear words strategically.
Whoa. Okay. Explain.
I'm not saying start swearing constantly, but knowing how and when to use a common, fairly mild one, like maybe bloody in the UK context we mentioned, used appropriately.
Right. Like this date is bloody bananas instead of just astonishing.
Right. Used carefully, in the right informal setting, it can paradoxically make you sound more relatable, less stiff.
It's about understanding that social layer. Knowing when slightly stronger language adds emphasis or humor in a way natives recognize. But tread carefully.
Absolutely. Okay, so final challenge for you based on all this. Next time you're speaking English,
Yes.
try to shift your focus slightly. Instead of only worrying about perfect grammar, pay attention to your rhythm, your flow.
Try to mimic that natural cadence you hear.
Yeah, let yourself maybe make a tiny grammar slip if it means keeping a more natural rhythm. See how it feels, how people react.
It's about moving from just accuracy to fluency and flow.
Yeah.
Embracing the dynamics of real conversation.
Okay, quick recap of your mission from today.
Let's hear it.
1. Try to spot one of those 5 C1 tells in your own speech today, overusing very, an idiom that felt a bit off.
Become your own detective.
2. Be brave. Try out a new idiom you learned, maybe one from our list, in a chat with a native speaker. See what happens. Watch their reaction.
It's all feedback, all learning. These small actions help make this stuff stick.
And definitely join us next time. We're diving into C1 speaking how to sound articulate, not robotic. That's going to be a good one.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, go out there and speak like you've forgotten you're not native.
Yeah, embrace it. Communicate genuinely. Let your personality come through.
Oh, and P.S. if you want that list of 10 niche idioms that impress natives, just shoot a DM to @EnglishUnlocked with #idiotproof.
Some good ones in there to add to your collection.